San Francisco, with its steep streets and towering skyscrapers, always gives Susan a feeling of both excitement and pressure. Every morning, as the sunlight filters through the lush green trees in Golden Gate Park, she feels as if she is standing in the midst of an endless race. At 24, Susan has spent the past 4 years building her career at a large e-commerce company, but she has never felt like she truly belonged there. Today, everything seems unusual. As she walks into the office, the atmosphere is heavy, and the murmurs of her colleagues sound like anxious, wordless music. Susan senses that something is off. She looks around, noticing everyone's eyes glued to their computer screens, as if they are watching an intense soccer match. "What's going on?" Susan asks, trying to keep her voice calm. "Haven't you heard the news?" Chloe, her best friend and colleague, approaches her, pale-faced. The director just announced that the company will lay off half of the staff. Susan's heart races. She has heard about layoffs in the industry, but she never imagined her company would be in this situation. She has worked hard, dedicating herself to projects, from market research to product development. But now, all those efforts could go to waste in an instant. "Do you think you will be affected?" Chloe asks, her eyes filled with worry. Susan swallows hard, feeling like a heavy stone is pressing down in her chest. "I don't know," she replies, her voice trailing off. "But I have to do something." As she turns away, a thought suddenly flashes in her mind. Perhaps this is the moment for her to pursue the entrepreneurial dream she has long nurtured. The idea of an eco-friendly product brand has always been in her mind, but she has never had the courage to start. Now, as everything could collapse, maybe it's time for her to act. Susan decides to head to the meeting room, where the director is preparing to announce important decisions. She feels as if she is entering a battle, where her future and those of hundreds of others hang precariously by a thin thread. She needs to know whether she is among those who will be laid off, and if she is, she won't let it defeat her. As she steps into the meeting room, the atmosphere becomes even heavier. People sit around the table, their eyes full of anxiety. The director, a middle-aged man in a serious suit, stands at the head of the table, looking grave. "I'm very sorry to announce that we will have to make staff reductions to ensure the company's survival," he begins, his voice deep and heavy. Susan holds her breath, feeling as if time has stopped. She looks around, seeing familiar faces, people who have shared so many ups and downs with her. They are all waiting, and in that moment, Susan feels a strong connection among them. "We will announce the list of those affected by the end of today," the director continues. "I know this is difficult news, but we must do this to protect the company's future." A sense of confusion and anxiety floods Susan's heart. She cannot let herself fall into despair. If she is laid off, she will have to find a new path for herself. And perhaps, that is the opportunity for her to pursue the entrepreneurial dream she has always craved. As the meeting concludes, Susan returns to her desk, her mind in turmoil. She opens her computer but can't focus on her work. Ideas for the eco-friendly product brand begin to form in her head, and she feels as though she is standing at an important crossroads in her life. "Are you okay?" Chloe asks, sitting down beside her. "I think I'm going to start something new," Susan replies, her eyes filled with determination. "If I'm laid off, I won't let that defeat me. I will build my own brand." Chloe looks at her, her eyes shining with encouragement. "I'll help you. We can do this together." Susan's mood suddenly lifts. She not only has a dream but also a companion. With Chloe's support, maybe she can turn her ideas into reality. She will not let anything hinder her career, no matter how uncertain the future may be. As the afternoon sun streams through the window, Susan feels as though a new fire is igniting within her. No matter how great the challenges ahead may be, she will not give up. This is the time for her to assert herself and pursue her dreams. She will not let anyone, including her own family, stand in her way. And thus, Susan's journey begins, with secrets, challenges, and new opportunities waiting for her ahead. After a tense meeting, Susan returned home, her heart full of turmoil. She sat on the old sofa, ideas about an eco-brand swirling in her mind. But it wasn't just the ideas, it was also the worry about her current job and the opposition from her family. Especially from Michael, her brother. "You can't do this, Susan," Michael said at a recent dinner when she shared her startup dreams. "The company is struggling. And you want to quit your job to pursue an uncertain dream? I don't want to see you fail." Those words felt like a knife stabbing her heart. Susan had always felt unrecognized in her family. Michael, with his stable and successful career, had always been the pride of their parents. And she, despite trying her best, was still just the little sister, not strong enough to make a name for herself. "I don't need to be as successful as you," Susan replied, her voice fading. "I just want to do what I love." Now, sitting alone in her small apartment, she felt an overwhelming sense of loneliness. She opened her computer, searching for information on other eco-brands, jotting down ideas, products she wanted to develop. But deep down, the doubt lingered. Did she have what it takes to realize this dream? The next day, Susan decided to meet Chloe at a small cafe in the Mission District. This cafe was famous for its organic beverages. And that was exactly what attracted Susan. She wanted to seek support from Chloe, her only friend who understood her passion. "Chloe, we need to start right now," Susan said, her voice full of determination. "I found an amazing supplier of eco-friendly materials. They can provide us with perfect products." Chloe, with bright eyes, nodded. "Great. But we need to have a clear plan. I think we should start with social media, build a brand, and attract customers." "That's right," Susan agreed, excitement bubbling inside her. "But I need to prepare for the family's opposition. Michael will never support me." "Don't worry about that," Chloe reassured. "We will prove to them that you can do it. Just focus on your dream." As Susan left the cafe, she felt as if she had found the light at the end of the tunnel. But as soon as she got home, the worry came crashing back. She couldn't escape thoughts of her family's reaction, especially Michael's. A few days later, when Michael came to visit, Susan decided she wouldn't remain silent any longer. She had prepared herself for this conversation. "Michael, I need to talk to you," Susan began, her voice filled with determination. "What is it?" Michael asked, his expression somewhat wary. "I want to start my own business," she said bluntly, feeling as if she had just dropped a bomb. "I want to launch an eco-friendly product brand." Michael frowned, his gaze filled with skepticism. "Susan, are you sure? This is not a simple decision. You're working for a big company, and you want to abandon everything to chase an unclear dream?" "Yes, but I can't live forever in safety," Susan replied, frustration rising. "I want to challenge myself, to do something meaningful." "Meaningful? Is that the reason you want to give up everything?" "I don't want to see you fail," Michael said, his tone somewhat stern. "I don't need your approval," Susan retorted, her voice becoming stronger. "I will do this, no matter what you think." The argument between the two siblings grew more intense. Michael couldn't understand Susan's dream, and she felt increasingly cornered. She had to face not only her brother's opposition but also her inner doubts. When Michael left, Susan felt like she had lost a part of her family. She sat down, tears rolling down her cheeks. She knew the path ahead wouldn't be easy, but she also understood that if she didn't try, she would forever live in regret. In the following days, Susan and Chloe began working on their project. They created a website, designed a logo, and planned their first products. As each day passed, Susan felt she was getting closer to her dream, yet the worry about her family continued to haunt her. One evening, while working with Chloe, Susan's phone suddenly vibrated. It was a message from Michael. "Susan, I don't understand what you are doing, but I am worried about you. Please think carefully before making your decision." Frustration and hurt welled up inside Susan. Why can't he support me, she thought to herself. Why does he only see safety and not my dream? Keep going, Susan, Chloe encouraged. Don't let anyone stop you. This is your journey. And indeed, Susan decided not to let anyone, even her family, hinder her dream. She was ready to face difficulties, challenges, and opposition. She would prove that she could succeed, and that dreams were not just fantasies but a reality she would build with her own hands. As night fell, Susan sat by her computer, the light from the screen reflecting on her determined face. She would not give up. She would fight for her dream, despite all obstacles. The summer flew by quickly, and Susan spent every spare moment developing her ecological product brand. She and Chloe worked tirelessly, from sourcing materials, designing packaging to planning marketing. Everything seemed to be going well, until one fateful afternoon. When Susan had just returned from a meeting with the supplier, she received a call from Chloe. Chloe's voice echoed on the phone, filled with worry. "Susan, something's wrong. We need to talk right away." "What's going on?" Susan asked, her heart racing. "A big company is developing a product similar to ours, and they have made significant progress. They are launching at the end of this month," Chloe said, her voice as if trying to stay calm. Susan's heart raced. "We have to do something. If they launch before us, everything will go up in smoke. We need to accelerate the production and promotion process," Chloe suggested. "But that might require a larger investment." "That's true, but we don't have time left," Susan said, feeling the pressure weighing heavily on her shoulders. "I will call the investors I have contacted before." She quickly got to work, but inside, she couldn't shake off the anxiety. The dreams she had nurtured suddenly became a heavy burden. She wondered if she had the strength to fight through these challenges. As night fell, Susan sat at her desk, the warm yellow light illuminating the documents and design drafts. She called one of the potential investors she had met earlier. "Hello, Mr. Smith, this is Susan. We urgently need an investment to accelerate production. Can I meet with you this week?" Mr. Smith's voice came through the phone, somewhat cold. "Susan, I have reviewed your project, but right now I don't see a lot of potential in it. The market is saturated. And I don't think you can compete with the big companies." The statement felt like a punch to her face. "But we have a unique product. We are committed to using completely eco-friendly and sustainable materials," she retorted, her voice filled with determination. "I understand, but I see no reason to invest in an uncertain project." Mr. Smith interrupted. The call ended, and Susan felt like all hope had just vanished. She rested her head on the table, tears brimming at the corners of her eyes. She had worked so hard. But now everything was at a dead end. The next day, when Michael visited, Susan decided that she would not stay silent any longer. She needed support from her family, no matter how much her brother opposed it. "Michael, I need to talk to you," she began, her voice full of determination. "What is it?" Michael asked, looking somewhat wary. "I'm having trouble developing my brand. I just got rejected for investment, and I don't know what to do next," Susan said, her heart full of anxiety. "Are you sure this is the right path?" Michael questioned, his eyes skeptical. "You could go back to your old job, at least you'd have a stable income." "But I don't want to live the life that you've chosen," Susan replied, her voice becoming stronger. "I want to challenge myself, I want to do something meaningful." Michael sighed, his expression full of concern. "Susan, I don't want to see you fail. I just want what's best for you." "But I don't need your approval," she shouted, feeling frustration and hurt swell inside her. I'm going to do this, no matter what you think. The argument between the two siblings grew increasingly heated. Michael couldn't understand Susan's dreams, and she felt more and more cornered. She not only had to face her brother's opposition but also her own self-doubt. "You can do this, Susan," Michael said, his voice dropping. "But think carefully before you decide. Don't let pride blind you." "I'm not blind," she replied, feeling like she was being backed into a corner. "I just want to live my own way." When Michael left, Susan felt as if she had lost a part of her family. She sat down, tears streaming down her cheeks. She knew that the road ahead would not be easy, but she also understood that if she didn't try, she would live with regret forever. In the following days, the pressure increased. She and Chloe continued to work. But the anxiety about not having enough financial resources made Susan feel stressed. She began to feel tired and lost confidence. Did she have enough strength to continue? One evening, while working with Chloe, Susan's phone suddenly vibrated. It was a message from Michael. "Susan, I don't understand what you're doing, but I'm worried about you. Think carefully before you decide." A feeling of frustration and hurt surged within Susan. "Why can't he support me?" she thought. "Why does he only see safety and not my dreams?" "Keep going, Susan," Chloe encouraged. "Don't let anyone stop you. This is your journey." A week later, as Susan was preparing for her first product launch meeting, she received an unexpected call from an old friend. "Susan, I just heard news about your product. It seems like your company is being watched by a large investment group. They are looking to acquire your product before the launch." "What?" Susan exclaimed, feeling as if everything was falling apart. "Who is watching us?" "Not sure, but if you don't act quickly, they might steal your idea," the friend warned. The feeling of anxiety and apprehension surged. She had to do something, and she had to do it now. Susan immediately called Chloe, and the two decided to hold an emergency meeting with the team members. They needed to protect their product before it was too late. In the meeting, the atmosphere was tense. The team members were all worried about the possibility of their product being stolen. "We need to enhance information security," one member suggested. "Otherwise, all our efforts will be in vain." "That's right," Susan agreed, feeling as if she was standing in the middle of a storm. "We need to act right now. I will contact a lawyer to ensure that everything is protected." But deep down, she also felt another worry. If that big company really wanted to buy their product, should she accept the offer? She could receive a large sum of money. But would that be the price to pay for her dream? When the meeting ended, Susan sat alone in the office, pondering her options. She knew that if she did not act, her product could be stolen. But if she accepted the buyout offer, she would lose the dream she had devoted her heart and soul to build. She recalled Michael's words, "Don't let pride blind you." Perhaps her brother was right. She could not let complacency lead her to failure. As the lights in the office dimmed, Susan decided to call the big company to learn more about their offer. She needed to know clearly before making her final decision. When the call ended, Susan felt like she had just stepped into a new battle. She not only had to face that big company but also herself. Did she have the courage to fight for her dreams? Or would she choose the safer path, accepting a life without dreams? As night fell, Susan sat by her computer, the light from the screen reflecting on her determined face. She would not give up. No matter how great the challenges ahead, she would fight for her dreams, regardless of the obstacles. The product launch day is approaching, and the pressure is mounting. Susan and Chloe have prepared everything, but anxiety continues to haunt them. They have received information that the large company will launch a similar product at the same time. "We have to do something," Chloe says, her voice full of worry. "If they launch before we do, everything will go up in smoke." "We won't let that happen," Susan responds, her determination overflowing. "We will do everything we can to protect our product." As the launch event unfolds, Susan feels as if she is standing in the middle of a storm. People are waiting, the flash of cameras keeps flashing. She feels her heart pounding, but also full of pride. This is the product she has poured her heart into building. As the launch began, Susan stood in front of the crowd, her eyes shining brightly. "Welcome to our product launch. This is an eco-friendly product made from natural and sustainable ingredients. We believe that each product can make a difference." As Susan spoke, she felt as if she was conveying not just a product, but a message. Hundreds of eyes were watching her, and she knew this was her chance to prove that her dream could become a reality. But in that moment, a representative from that large company stepped onto the stage, looking confident. "We will also launch a similar product. We have a bigger plan, more powerful resources. We invite you to join us." It felt as if everything was collapsing. Susan felt her heart being squeezed. She looked around and saw people's eyes shifting from her to that representative. Could this be the end of her dream? But then, a strong feeling surged within her. She couldn't let this defeat her. She had fought too long to give up now. Susan stepped forward, her gaze resolute. "We don't just sell products," she said, her voice resonating in the space. "We sell a philosophy of life. We believe that everyone can make a difference. We don't just compete on products, but also on the values we bring." The representative looked at her, somewhat surprised. "Are you sure that will be enough to attract customers? We don't just want to sell. We want to create a community. A community that loves nature and protects the environment," Susan replied, feeling as if she was standing at the peak of decisiveness. When the launch event ended, Susan felt as if she had weathered a storm. She didn't know what the future would hold, but she had fought for her dream. Everything was still ahead of her, but she knew she had done the right thing. As she left the stage, Chloe ran up to hug her tightly. "You did so well. No matter what happens, you've proven you can stand firm." Susan smiled, feeling like a new fire was igniting within her. She would not give up. Regardless of how great the challenges ahead might be, she would fight for her dream, no matter the obstacles. She had found strength within herself, and now she was ready to face whatever life threw at her. After the tense premiere, Susan returned home with a chaotic mindset. She couldn't stop thinking about what had happened on stage. The words of that big company representative still echoed in her mind, "We have a bigger plan." But inside, a part of her knew that the value she and Chloe were building was not only in the product, but also in the philosophy of life, the connection with the community, and the environment. As she entered her small apartment, the light from the warm yellow lamps calmed her worries. She sat down on the sofa, looking through the documents, designs, and the photos she had kept throughout this journey. Each photo contained memories, dreams, and even tears. She recalled the arguments with Michael, the times her brother had tried to protect her. But she felt cornered. "I was wrong," she told herself. "I didn't understand that he only wanted the best for me." The feeling of guilt overwhelmed her. She had been too arrogant, too determined to prove herself that she had forgotten that family was the most important thing. She had let her dreams overshadow the love and support Michael had for her. "Maybe it's time for me to talk to him," Susan thought, filled with determination. She couldn't let the misunderstandings go on any longer. She needed to clarify everything, not just for herself but also for Michael. The next day, Susan decided to visit Michael. As she stood in front of his door, her heart raced. She didn't know how he would react, but she knew she had to face the truth. "Are you here?" Michael opened the door, looking somewhat surprised. "What's wrong?" "I need to talk to you," Susan said, her voice trembling yet firm. "About what happened, about me, and about us." Michael invited her in, and they sat down at the dining table. The atmosphere between them grew tense. But Susan knew this was the moment to resolve everything. "I didn't understand your worries," she began, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I was too focused on my dreams that I forgot that family matters just as much. I'm sorry for not listening to you." Michael was silent for a moment, then he sighed. "I just wanted to protect you, Susan. I didn't want to see you fail. But I also understand that you need to pursue your dreams." "Thank you for always worrying about me," Susan said, feeling grateful. "But I need you to support me. Not just to protect me. I want us to overcome every challenge together." The conversation continued, and both gradually opened up to each other. Michael shared his worries, while Susan expressed her desires and dreams. They realized that despite their differences, love and support were still the most important things. "I will not give up on my dreams," Susan said, her voice full of determination. "But I also won't let it hurt the family anymore. I will find a way to combine both." Michael smiled, his eyes sparkling. "I believe in you. Let me help you. We can do this together." A sense of relief washed over Susan. She knew she had found forgiveness, not just from Michael but also from herself. This journey was not just about building a brand, but also about rebuilding relationships and seeking balance in life. When she returned home, Susan felt like she had shed a great burden. She and Chloe continued to work hard, but now she no longer felt pressured. She knew that there were people beside her supporting her, and that gave her the strength to continue. A week later, their product was officially launched. This time, not only did Susan and Chloe participate, but they also had support from Michael. He helped them in promoting the product, connecting with investors, and building relationships with the community. When she saw her products on sale, Susan felt proud. She had not only built a brand but also created a nature-loving community where everyone could come together to protect the environment. Looking back on her journey, Susan realizes that no path is easy. Every challenge brings valuable lessons. She has learned that forgiveness and love are the most important elements in life. No matter how grand a dream may be, without the support of family and friends, everything becomes meaningless. Life is not just about pursuing dreams, she thinks. It's also about building relationships, creating connections, and living meaningfully. Standing amidst her products, Susan felt as if she had found herself. She was no longer the small girl she used to be, but a strong, confident, and determined woman. She knew the journey was long, but now she was ready to face any challenge. What will come next? She wondered, but no longer felt anxious. She had learned to accept the unknown and to live fully in each moment. She looked out the window, where sunlight streamed through the trees. "Let life guide me," she whispered. "I will not stop dreaming and I will not stop loving." And with a hopeful heart, Susan stepped outside, ready for new journeys, new dreams, and a more fulfilling life.